Well, welcome back to Norfolk, here in the East Anglia, United Kingdom. We're in January and we're starting to do some work in this garden over the next few weeks. Weather's getting a little better, winter storms and cold weather, hopefully a thing of the past. We've got some signs of spring coming on. We're going to give you a garden tour, walk you around this place and show you all the jobs that we've got on here. I hope it's going to make you feel a little better if you're looking at your garden and thinking, I've got a job on, because there is so much to do here, cutting back wise and weeding. I haven't finished doing the taberries and loganberries on that distant wall. The raspberry canes have just been abandoned last year. The old canes still not cut out. These are autumn flowering raspberries, which hardly did anything last year. This whole area is completely swamped by bindweed. You can see the old, very tough old sinews of the bindweed that's just swamped these raspberries. These are all going to have to be moved because this barn just behind me is going to be converted in March. So all this is no longer going to be garden. It's going to be building site very, very soon. So my rhubarb crowns, where Weimaraner and Poodle are just digging at the moment, are all going to have to be moved. This is a really well established rhubarb patch that's been there probably for 60 years. Yeah, go on Ted, keep digging. Those crowns are going to be absolutely massive, and we've got to move them round and down onto the new vegetable garden that we created at the end of last year. These, what look like Jerusalem artichokes, no, globe artichokes, let me get that right, actually aren't. Those two plants are actually cardoons. Beautiful flowers, architecturally splendid, but no good to eat at all. So we've got to find a position for those in one of the flower beds. Just look at the state of this fruit garden. Blackcurrants unpruned, weeds, annual weeds, hopefully most of them. Had a very good crop of French beans from this bit of patch last year, but this garden is really in need of edging and some proper compost putting on the top to bring it back into a fruitful vegetable and fruit garden. I have done a little bit of work on the taberries. On the back you can see those, the old vines have been cut out and the new ones put into position, but got as far as there and then the weather turned against me. What a job. And coming round into the what we used to call the kitchen garden. This is the border I've started cutting back and putting some tulips into. It's full of nettle at the back, bindweed again, a lot of ground elder coming up. So this is going to take a couple of weeks work, and to be honest, we have to pace ourselves on a garden this size and do it in either 15-minute batches or wheelbarrow loads. This little border is absolutely full of hellebores. We'll have shown you this on previous videos. A couple of weeks down the route, these are really going to be coming through, and you can already see the bulbs coming through. Difficult to get on there now and clear it out, but the hellebores, really we need to get the old crowns down so you fully appreciate the new growth, which you can just start to see is already emerging there. There's flower buds coming through. So if we want this to really look a picture and video well, we really need to get on here and start cracking on with the work. These are the new rose borders that were put in on top of the old swimming pool, and the roses have established really well last year. We've put quite a bit of herbaceous in as well, and earlier in the season I planted 250 bulbs along the back of this lavender hedge. Alliums, the purple ones, the globe early flowering onions, which I'm hoping are going to do well. The roses haven't been pruned so far yet, and there's an awful lot of annual weed on here as well. I'm going to try and get on top of this and top dress it over the next couple of weeks, but it's another massive area for me to get out and do some work on as the weather starts to improve. But I think it's worthwhile doing. We'll probably start with that border nearest the big window from the barn. That's the one we see and look at the most, and then work our way back out. This other long border full of spring flowering bulbs, and again hasn't been cut back at the end of last season. We really need to get on there and take all the herbaceous down and then try and prune these roses before all those bulbs start emerging, but we've probably late. As you can see, there's bulbs starting to emerge in the grass here under the apple trees. This is an absolute picture later in the season, hardly anything showing yet. The earliest clumps to come up are the giant snowflakes, and here's a clump coming through under the oak tree. You can see the, thanks Poppy, heavy thatch of the acorn crop that fell here last year, not been cleared away, and it probably won't be. Squirrels have done their best job, but the acorns that were produced last year were just in a massive quantity, so there's still thousands of the things just sitting around on the surface. Chances are they're all going to shoot. Yes, thank you, dog. There you are. That's what you tune in to watch my videos for. Thank you. But there's plenty of spring activity coming on. Let's go and have a look around the other bits of the garden. I've got all these leaves to tidy away because, again, these are full of spring bulbs, and particularly the natural primula that would grow here. Just look at these. We really need to clear out around them and give them a chance to come into flower, because these are absolutely spectacular later in the season, and we've planted and planted and planted down this long run to give us a really good display later in the spring. Another border here I've got to cut back on. We've got bramble in this, nettles, all the herbaceous that's still got to be hidden. This is absolutely full of aconites, and later in the season this will be a carpet of yellow. Not too much later in the season either, which is another reason I really need to get on here and start cutting back, because they're starting to come through, and I really need to get the thatch cleared off the top, and if possible a bit of top dressing on this, because it really hasn't been fed now for probably 5 or 6 years. Isn't that spectacular? Well, spectacularly early, this hellebore. Really surprising. I showed you the other ones round on the exposed part of the garden. This one's at the base of a south-westerly facing wall and is absolutely in full blossom. Just look at that. Beautiful. Just goes to show spring's not that far away now. So if you can, give yourself 15 minutes, get out in your garden, do just one job, and the day after you can do another, and before you know it, we'll hopefully be on top of these gardens and they'll be looking as they should do, ready for this season.